Hey folks, how are you? How you been? What are you up to? How's your family and all that? Just wanted to check in. I know it's been a while. To be honest with you, just haven't felt super inspired to come on and share just because I've been having to deal with more of the, annoyances of MS rather than the the day to day things that you can get through. So having a more annoying, you know, last year or so medically as just I just haven't really thought wanted to come on here and think more about it than I already have had to. So just haven't really been on and updating you as much, but I do owe you an update. I feel I owe you an update. I want to update you all what's been going on. A couple things last year. My last video was about finally doing something for my trigeminal neuralgia. So I had that gamma knife procedure done in September. Really used targeted radiation to kind of cut the nerve uh, up there to keep it from transmitting to my mouth, which is where all the pain is. And it's definitely helped. It's been 5 months, and there have been times where it's almost completely gone. But there are other times, even last week, I had two really bad attacks close by each other. And so, it's like I still have to be careful. Don't overdo it with the sugar. It was also, being winter, cold sets it off. And it was like cold in the house that night. So I think it's still, I still have to be careful about knowing the triggers and keeping them at bay. Even talking to you right now, I kind of feel just a little ping in my mouth when I speak kind of more articulately or loudly in my mouth. So it's not completely gone. It's still a lot better than it was. Definitely more controlled, and I've been able to stay on less medicine more often. I take 300 milligrams of carbamazepine daily, but occasionally 400 when I do have those bad days, and it has been better about getting back to where it was. But I guess it's still there. I know when I met with them in October, they told me to anticipate that at about the 6 month mark, it should more or less be where it's going to be. So it's definitely better than it was, like I said. Hopefully, it lasts for a while. Obviously, don't regret the experience of having gone through it. You always got to do what you can, and it wasn't any more difficult than just being annoyed having that crazy contraption attached to my head for a day. But yeah, it's fine, and I'm better, but not perfect. So it's still there. Um, Other than the trigeminal neuralgia, one of the MS side effects that's really been bothering me over the last year, that really last 2 years, but it's been more of an issue over the last year, has been MS's effects on my bladder. They diagnosed me with a neurogenic bladder, which means my bladder kind of retains a lot of urine. I'll probably have once I feel about really going into more details about this, I'll have a longer video on the topic. But yeah, having a lot of issues there, and one of those issues is kidney stones. So about a year ago now, I think a year ago this week, I had my first kidney stone, and it was super painful transferring from my kidney to my bladder. I went to the ER just to make sure it wasn't on my right side, so I didn't know if it was what it was. If it was my appendix or a kidney stone or what. And then it was in my bladder, and rather than waiting for it to pass, I had a surgery where they go in through the outhole and blast it. Or actually, they scooped it up. They can blast it with lasers to break it up, sound waves and all that, but they kind of more or less scooped it out of me, and so I didn't have to pass it totally out, which everyone says is the very very painful part. It was still painful as it was transferring from the kidney to my bladder, but looking back at it, and I got through it after a comfortable day, and the surgery itself was pretty easy. I'd never been under anesthesia before, which was interesting. But it was crazy because you just, as anyone under anesthesia knows, there a second, and then you're back, and they're like, "Oh, it's been 3 hours. Welcome back," and it feels crazy. But I recovered well from that. With all of that said, I was having sort of just feeling issues of the last 2 months and went in for an ultrasound, and I have more kidney stones in my bladder and kidney, so I'm actually scheduled to go in and have them break it up in the bladder and again take it out. So I guess this is a new side effect I'm going to have to figure out the best way to manage, best way for my bladder health, but also and kidney health, of course, but also my lifestyle. So again, it's more a larger conversation, but just one of the annoyances that have me not wanting to think or talk about MS more than I had to last year. So it took me a little while to get back to you. But with these two larger annoyances, it's not like last year was a wash by any means. Outside of MS, had a great year. My wife and I traveled to Europe in March on a delayed honeymoon. We took a cruise in the Mediterranean, and it was amazing. I think I finally see I've come around in my older age and lesser accessibility to seeing the I wouldn't say benefits, but the pluses of taking a cruise to travel. Super accessible, and you're in one place, not packing up and traipsing, which I can't do as I once was able to. But yeah, we had a great time visiting Barcelona for a few days. Got on the boat, went to Marseille, France. I always have trouble saying Marseille or Marseille or whatever. Marseille, France, then to the island of Corsica, then to Gibraltar, the southern tip of Spain, and then back to Barcelona. So some sort of random spots, but I'm super glad we got to see them because I don't think I'd ever be able to see them otherwise, especially something like Corsica. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Also I'm an uncle. My brother and my sister-in-law had their baby Maddie in August, so it's been a lot of fun welcoming her to the family and watching her grow. So there a lot of highlights last year. The pluses of back to MS, of what I have been doing to manage and just what has been helpful in my life. I started going to the gym more regularly. The Medical University of South Carolina opened actually a pretty cool concept. They call it Next. I forget exactly what it stands for, but it's a gym specifically for people with neurological issues. A lot of stroke patients and people who are paralyzed to go in and work with trainers to get who are well versed in working with folks with different abilities to give them a exercise plan and a gym plan. So I had been in the warmer months. I like to go over there twice a week and work out, and it's actually I can get there. It's a 15-minute roll from my house too, so it's really convenient, and it's been a real benefit for me to get out and keep moving as much as I can, and it's been fun. I had two more things to cover that I thought I pressed go on the camera to record, but apparently did not. So here we are in a different t-shirt on a different day, just closing everything out. The first thing I'm also looking forward to this year is finally going for my driver's license exam. It's been 2 years, a 2-year process of getting to this point. Doing the initial assessment, then hand control lessons, and then trying to find a vehicle I actually wanted to buy. And then from there, getting used to driving it before I felt confident enough to go for the license exam. So we are here. We are in the process of getting it going with the state. So I'll report back and we'll keep you updated, so it won't be the end. The other thing to touch on is that I might be switching DMTs. I'm on Ocrevus and have been since 2018. But after so much time on it, it starts to affect some blood levels, the IgA and IgB, which I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head exactly what they are. But after so many times, these are regular tests your neurologist, if you are on Ocrevus, probably orders for you each time, the blood tests. But my levels are down at this point, so my two neurologists have both mentioned we're going to monitor them, and it might be time to switch. The leading option is Mavenclad. Mavenclad is an interesting one where it's you take a week's worth of pills, followed by another week's worth, I think about a month later, and then you're set apparently for 5 years before having to take another DMT. Um, I guess it's had pretty good patient profiles and response, and it's kind of another heavy hitter that a lot of doctors have been excited about. One side effect that has to be taken into consideration, though, is that um, they do not. There are concerns if you were trying to get pregnant, both for females taking Mavenclad and males, actually, which is a rarity. So, being where I and my wife are in our life and trying to have a baby, don't want to drink anything too much, but working on it. That Mavenclad may not be the immediate best option, but all in due time, we'll figure everything out. And yeah, there's a lot more to look forward to this year, and I'm excited for it. So thanks for sticking along with me, and thanks for your patience, and yeah, thanks.